All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Under the Cork Tree podcast. This is the first one in like 3 months. It's been a while, between a couple bowls or 3 or 4 or 6. It's definitely time we rebooted this podcast. So I'm glad to be back. Joining me today, an awesome guest. We have Courtney Lawless. She is the co-owner of Home Theory, which is a real estate investment company that's based in Dallas, Texas. And This summer, she ran with the Bulls for the very first time. Yeah. And we will get into all her details and all her fun. Courtney, what up?
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So really quickly, to those listening, I am drinking not wine, but Basque Pacharan. Courtney Lawless is drinking some wine.
I am.
Show us what you got.
I'm drinking the beautiful Ava Grace Pinot Grigio. I have a daughter named Ava, and the bottle was pretty, and that's why girls drink. Like, that's what we base it on. That's a pretty bottle.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I figured if I drink the whole bottle, then I could put it in my daughter's room and be like, "Mommy drank the whole bottle, and now you can have it." So I love you. Kisses, drunk kisses.
Don't you feel like over the last, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years, we're seeing more and more people drink wine, like here in the States?
Yeah, I heard you say that in your podcast one time about that wine was like catching on in the United States. I seriously, I laughed out loud in my car because like, when have we not drank wine? Like,
true.
I guess
Yeah.
Wine has been around for a long time. Now, are you talking about like female culture? Because there's this female culture right now with rosé. It's like I see girls wearing shirts like rosé all day, and I love rosé, but I also love my image more. So like,
you don't rosé all day. I rosé all day.
I would rosé all day if it wasn't so like basic bitch. Just why don't I just slap on some Uggs and something glittery and drink my rosé all day? Like,
it's sort of snooty. Yeah.
It is snooty. It is. Not that there's anything wrong with rosé all day. Just wear your graphic tee and drink your rosé. But tonight I chose Pinot because it said Ava.
Well, that's a classy choice. I like it.
It's not bad. It's not bad, and it's it's a good name.
Well, you had an interesting summer. I thought I had an interesting summer. You had a very interesting summer. You traveled to Europe. You went to Spain. You even spent some time in Malta. Had you ever been to Europe before?
No. I lived in a country called Kyrgyzstan when I was a teenager, but nobody really knows where that is. Yeah, Borat was in Kazakhstan, which is it's basically the exact same country. When Borat came out, I was super excited because it was so close to Kyrgyzstan that I could at least be like, I lived in Kazakhstan and the men looked like Borat and acted just like him, which was basically Russia. So for a long time I said I lived in Russia. But that was the closest to Europe, if you can call it that. But this was a better experience than living in Kyrgyzstan, which is just the depressed part of Russia.
For everyone listening, me, Courtney, and her husband Cash, I've had Cash on the podcast. We've talked about hairdressing and his celebrity career. He goes out and he hangs out with people like Natalie Portman and all these famous people.
You really like her. You name her.
She's cool. No, honestly, I don't know if I ever published this podcast, but there was a podcast that I recorded where I talked about like celebrity crushes and like Disney Channel crushes. And one of them was Mandy Moore. And
who doesn't?
Dude, right?
And she is the best. She is the one that like, he will talk about her and he'll say like, she is legit. Everything you see on TV, that is her. She's sweet. She's relatable. She's cute. Like, that's you would love her. Yeah. Everybody does.
Tell me more, Courtney. Yeah. So, I could talk about Mandy Moore forever.
Wow. Well,
just kidding.
And she's single now. No, she's not actually now. I think you missed the window.
No, so I did. So when I was recording again, I don't know. I have to go back and see if I published this.
Yeah.
I recorded the podcast and I talked about her. And while we were doing the podcast, I Googled her and checked out the Wikipedia, which you always know is true.
Yeah. Yes,
and
always.
So, and it said like she had just like gotten married to some music industry,
Ryan Adams.
Band. Is that who it is?
Yes. She was. He cheated on her, I think.
Oh.
I mean, they got divorced, and it was, it was a huge bummer for her.
No way.
Yeah. But I mean, he was kind of like a bad guy, and she's like a sweetheart, and it's kind of like if what's John Mayer? When he dates anybody, he does. I feel like he just goes around deflowering people. But
yeah, no, I haven't liked John Mayer since Taylor Swift said don't like him.
Yeah, well, you sure do listen to your girls.
So, she had that one song about the Black Panther
no, then
Sharpie.
It's a no.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's so whenever Cash, like, when he talks about these celebrities, like Mandy Moore was the one who stuck out for me, and I was like, lucky dude. But I've had him on the podcast, and we've talked about his career and what it's like to be around those people.
Yeah.
All three of us, me, you, and him, were supposed to meet up in Bilbao, which is a city in Spain, in northern Spain, and our flights were arriving within like 30 minutes.
So
and
close.
it was going to be this awesome reunion. I haven't been back to Spain with Cash since 2004, so it's been 14 years, and it's going to be this awesome celebration. Totally heterosexual, and
I'll just be in the back eating cheese and bread while you guys.
You're just you just coordinated everything, whatever. Well, actually, you are a booking agent.
I am. I do. I set his appointment, so we had you penciled in for sure. Like Cuddles with Ander, it was on the calendar.
Cuddles with Ander. It's like me, a little Bravo here. I don't know if you see him on the camera. Do you see? I
can see him.
His name's Bravo.
He's adorable.
Hey, don't stare at him. He's shy.
I'm so hard to look at your bowl.
So, whoa! In New York, that would mean something different, dude. No. So, Courtney, I will let you do the explaining. So we had these plans to go to Spain.
Yeah.
And meet up together. As I was waiting at the airport, I reached out to you guys and just lay it out. What the hell happened?
Our plane caught on fire. It's all you can do is laugh at this point. I'm terrified of flying. I did not fly until I was 18. Not because I'm scared, because I was poor. So I grew up super poor. And we drove everywhere. And when I was 18, I became a missionary, and they were like, great, well, we're going to send you overseas and you're going to live there. And I was like, well, I've never flown. So since I've been afraid of flying forever, the giant balls of metal should not be in the air. I don't understand the physics of it. But so we are flying from France to Spain, and Cash and I are watching a Netflix show, and all of a sudden our oxygen masks drop, and we didn't have a big bang. There wasn't anything that indicated, and so it just made me think, oh shoot, like we must have had some turbulence that jolted the oxygen mask down. But it turns out no, there was a fire on the plane. Ooh. And so they start screaming at us to put on our masks, and it was the absolute worst moment of my life, for sure. I was fully convinced I was going to die. So we put our masks on, and Cash is trying to keep me calm. I wasn't freaking out. I do have panic attacks.
What goes through your head? Like, when you're thinking everything's going to end, it's all over, I'm done.
Yeah.
Do you start thinking about people? Do you think about memories? You know how in the movies they always talk about if you're about to die, you start to have flashbacks of your life. Yeah. Is that true?
I did not. I'm very deeply religious. I'm a Christian, and so all I just said Jesus. I just said Jesus. Every time I take a deep breath in, and when I breathed out, I said Jesus. And I decided, like, this is it. I'm going to meet him, and I know where I'm going. And all I was focused on was, like, I just need to get through this moment and then I'm going to be in heaven. Like, I'm good. And I feel kind of bad after the fact. Like, I didn't think about my kids. I didn't think about my parents. I didn't think, I wasn't standing up telling everybody about Jesus. It was just, all I thought was like, this is it. This is how I'm going to die. And I do remember thinking, I hope it doesn't hurt. Like, I hope I don't burn to death. But I had well established in my mind, like, I just remember thinking, I'm going to meet Jesus. That's it. That's all I remember. And instead Cash is like nudging me and he's like, there's the Eiffel Tower out the window.
Yes. Honey, check out the sights.
He's like, I don't see any fire on the wing. There's the Eiffel Tower. I was like, I can't right now because we're about to die. But he pulled out his camera. He took a selfie. He's like, let's take a picture. I mean, he's amazing. He's definitely the rock in my life in every aspect, and this was one of them. He just wanted to make sure I was calm. He was afraid I was going to hyperventilate, take, I guess, the whole plane of oxygen, out of my mask. Baby, calm down. We only have enough oxygen for this many people.
You guys, did you do
scary.
what they say to do, is to pull down your own mask, or did he kind of help? Okay.
Yes. No. Now, and see, this is one thing that I have learned over time. I used to always think what a stupid thing it is to put your own mask on before you help somebody else. But I went through a life management program years ago, and one of their analogies was, on a plane, they tell you put your mask on first because you can't help people if you aren't alive. And so from that point on, it kind of made sense to me. Like, okay, I need to be alive to help other people. So we were both kind of like, every man for himself, like, put your mask on. And Cash has a glorious beard, and the mask wouldn't go over his beard. So he had to put the mask on his mouth and was pinching his nose. So he, a couple of times, was like, honey, I'm going to pass out. Like, well, all right, it's been nice knowing you.
Gone.
He didn't pass out. Obviously we're both here. We landed, when we landed, I burst into tears. I was shaking uncontrollably. It was awful. There was men that were crying. There were babies that were screaming. And it was a very, very, very traumatic flight, that then delayed us in France by like 48 hours. We didn't even get to Fiesta till like a day later. No. We went to in Bilbao. So it was a day late. And then we had 7 flights after that. And
when the plane landed, so first of all, you didn't know where you had landed. You knew it wasn't Bilbao, your final destination. You just knew it was someplace in France.
And I didn't know, are we going to land with wheels? Are we going to land and have to, Cash and I were in the emergency exit. So like, are we going to have to rip this door off? Like, we had no idea what to do. And they told us all to stay seated. The fire trucks came out. We didn't have to open the emergency exit. However, Cash and I really wanted to. I just wanted to get off the plane at that point.
Were you guys in the exit row?
Yes, we were.
Ooh,
yeah. And so oddly enough, we could have. And but I don't know if the plane had completely depressurized, because they were telling us we have to sit for a minute. And we actually were not seated together on our tickets. We were seated separately when we got on the plane, and we had asked somebody to switch seats with us. So that was one thought that was happening as we were going down. I'm like, at least we switched seats. Like, if I had to die next to some fat, sweaty guy, that would have been the worst. Hold me. So it definitely was a benefit that we were able to switch the seats. But
so you land, and at that point they hadn't really disclosed much information. You just saw the flight attendants kind of running back and forth in the aisleways, just panicking. There was smoke in the air. You put the masks on, but you're on the ground. You're finally on the ground.
Yes.
Do you get out and kind of walk through a terminal, or is it like you're just in the middle?
No, we were in the middle of like a runway somewhere. I don't know. We were in France somewhere at a different airport. And we just landed in the middle of a big airstrip. And so the fire trucks came off, and we sat there for a little while. And it was funny because they passed around a bottle of water, one giant bottle of water, and we were towards the front, and everybody was just kind of drinking after each other. And it got to us, and I start drinking, and I handed it to Cash. He's like, I'm not drinking after this entire plane of people. It's like, dude, we just survived a flight. Like, Wait,
so like the same bottle, like
the same bottle. They were just passing one bottle around.
Was everyone wiping like the drinking area, like the plastic?
You would think. You would think.
I bet nobody cared.
No,
everyone was like, look, if I can make it through this, I'll take whatever I get from drinking from someone else's cup.
If somebody passed around a vial of blood and they were like, we are all blood brothers now, I'd be like, I am in. Whatever. We have survived this together.
Let's get brands, yo.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a brand.
No, Cash always has his wits about him. He's like, no, I don't think I want to drink after these people. It's like, oh, well, now I have syphilis, so what are you going to do?
Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah, whatever. I survived the plane crash.
So you get off. You don't know, like, if you're on, another plane to Spain. You don't know if there's a car
they made
to
us
pick you
see
up.
a doctor. There was a doctor. Yeah. So we got off. The fire department helped us all off the plane. They had a doctor. They said, everybody has to see this doctor before you leave. And the doctor wanted to know if you felt that you inhaled smoke. It's like, no, but I have wet my pants. So if someone could get me some clean underwear, that would be amazing. And then we just sat around for, hours. They put us in one area. They gave us vouchers that were only good for pretty much McDonald's in the food court of some France airport. We were super unimpressed with Air France, just to put it mildly.
For those listening, I will say it's not that McDonald's is a bad restaurant, but you're eating McDonald's on foreign land, so it's just not the same.
Oh no, I had McDonald's in like 4 different countries, and it's just not like maybe Taco Bell in 4 different countries.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, seriously, you've had Taco Bell like in different countries?
I've had McDonald's in different countries.
Oh, McDonald's.
Yeah. So I had McDonald's in India, in which they don't have hamburgers because they don't eat cow.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
So you just survived what could have been like a fatal.
Oh, absolutely.
Like blow up or crash of this plane that you've been on. Yeah. And they give you vouchers to McDonald's?
Yeah, sorry. My Alexa's talking to me.
Wait, who's that? Yeah. I'm telling Cash.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to join him in. They give us it's like we just survived a plane crash, if you want to be dramatic. And I do. I love to be dramatic. Yeah. We've survived a plane crash with Air France, and they give you McDonald's vouchers, which was comedic in and of itself. I'm just like, I can't even get like a Starbucks or something, or a glass of wine, like anything that's going to calm my nerves. So they give us, McDonald's voucher, and then they tell us it looks like you're not going to fly out until tomorrow. We can't, because it was like the perfect storm. So there were definitely people that were going to Fiesta. And so, there was not very many planes that had availability. We have Fiesta going on. It was the World Cup. So a lot of people were traveling in and out of France and Spain. And then it was the weekend. So it was just they were like, we don't have any room for all of you guys to fly on one flight. So they put us up in a hotel. They did get our luggage. So bravo, Air France, for actually getting us our luggage. Because by the time I made it to Pamplona, I didn't have luggage. So it's just the one thing after the next with flying.
Yeah, what a shit show. It was, and that Paris to Bilbao or Paris to Pamplona flight, those are really popular connections. And around that time, if you hadn't booked it months or weeks in advance, there's just no way you were getting on those. And it's, but what I think about is if I just went through that, and it's, for a lot of people, I would think twice about flying another plane, especially that same day. Yes. But were you guys right on board? You were like, okay, I know what happened. I get it.
No,
it sucked.
No, we still have anxiety. The next flight that we took, we flew and we had a little bit of turbulence and we landed early, but they didn't make an announcement we were landing early. So we could tell we were going down quicker because my ears were popping, and I violently started shaking. I got nauseous. I have anxiety. Cash just actually flew to New York from here in Dallas, and he landed and he's like, I still am sick to my stomach when I fly. It's traumatic. It's so traumatic, and it feels over the top that we've had this experience and we feel this way, but you can't tell your mind. I've told people a couple of times, it feels like when you're a kid and you get scared of the dark and you always tell your parents like, no, there's a boogeyman in my closet. And it's like, you believe after a certain point that people tell you like, okay, there's no boogeyman. And then it's like something busts out of your closet and you're like, I knew there was a boogeyman. Like,
because fuck you guys, he's real. Boogeyman is real.
Like, oh, flying is so safe. Driving, you gotta be scared of driving. I'm like, no, listen guys, like flying is dangerous. I will drive all day long. I still hate flying.
I got to give you props because when you guys, so you finally did make it to Bilbao. You rented a car. You did all that jazz. You made it to Bilbao.
The planes, trains, and automobiles. It took a lot.
Yeah, but you guys made it, and when you showed up, you seemed, unfazed. You seemed normal.
We're always ready to party.
Yeah, no, you guys were down with smiles. You were ready to explore and be adventurous, and but obviously it's there's so much more happening or going on that you don't really see on the surface, and yeah, it may be in those moments where you are up in the air, landing.
Yeah, when we're on the land, we're good. If I'm in the air, it's bad.
Yeah.
That's the difference. On the land, I just love being on the land right now. Yeah. As soon as we get in the air, I have to fly tomorrow, and I'm already nervous. So it's not fun.
Well, one of the highlights of the trip that had a rocky start, but
it did.
What?
We made it.
Delay. You made it.
Yeah.
One of the highlights of the trip was being able to experience Pamplona. First of all, with Cash, I hadn't been to Pamplona with Cash since 2004.
That's so crazy.
We were 17.
You're different people.
Yeah, different people, and different times of our lives, and we're full-fledged adults by this point.
Grown men now.
That's right. Yeah, grown men drinking licorice, alcohol, whatever. Shrubs. What did I say? Shrubs? Blackthorn shrubs?
Black shrubs. Yeah.
So it was awesome to experience Pamplona again with Cash, but this was your first time going to Pamplona.
Yeah.
City commonly known as a place where they do the annual running of the bulls. What went through your mind sort of ahead of that trip to Pamplona? What did you expect from the experience, and maybe what were a couple ways it was different for you?
That's a great question. He prepared me for like a 24/7 party. So I kind of knew it was going to be like what I would imagine, I guess, like Mardi Gras or something. I was prepared for the party moderately. I all of my anxiety was around the run of the bulls because Cash had told me how when you guys were kids, you wanted to run and you went out every day and you were like, we're going to run. And then you'd get scared and you wouldn't run. So, I haven't even told him this. So
I have a different version, but I'll let you go ahead.
You'll hear it in the podcast. But, he was debating. You're like, am I going to run? Am I not going to run? And I was trying to be supportive of like, if you want to run, babe, just run. Like I support you running. I'm not going to be that person that's like, don't run. It's not safe. But inside, I wanted him to run so bad. I was like, oh my gosh, we're here. You should run. And we went to the running the first day that we got there, and we watched it happen. And it's really funny because we both videotaped it. And at the end of the video, I slapped his chest and I was like, you got this. Like, you have to run. It was so invigorating to watch this run. And then about halfway through the day, after that run, when he starts telling people like, yeah, I think I'm going to do it. I just started interjecting like, and I'm going to run too. And he's like, what? I can do this. I've always been that girl that runs with the guys. Like I grew up with two brothers and I've always been more of a tomboy than a princess. And to see all those men running, I was just like, I could do that. I can do this too. And if you're going to do this, then I'm going to do this. Yeah. Like a chick that can hang. Like,
yeah.
I got some training and we can talk about that a little later, but, so the running part was totally invigorating because it's 8 a.m. and usually, even here in Texas, like 8 a.m., I'm still sitting in traffic trying to drink coffee. Like I'm not awake. 8 a.m. in Pamplona, like, my adrenaline was like, through the roof, and it's like, let's do this. What do you want to do? Let's do this all day long. So it was much more than I ever expected by far. It wasn't just a party. It wasn't just a run. There's tradition behind it, and there's family. And I was so blown away at, there's celebrities in this running world, but you don't know it if you don't hear it from other people, because they're not walking around all chest puffed up like I've had 100 runs and I've got gored twice. Like nobody's really going around saying this. So, I mean, we were having dinner with like Dennis Clancy and Peter Milligan, and we were rooming with like Bill Hillman, and I didn't know that these people are well known, and I'm just like kicking it with them.
Like iconic stature in the bull running community.
They're like, I've made movies, I've written books, like people are telling me this later, and we get back to America, and Cash is reading Bill's book, I'm reading Peter's book, we both watched Chasing Red, which is Dennis's movie, and now I'm like, wow, I should have bowed down to these guys, and instead I'm just like busting their balls with jokes and stuff like that.
No, but it's almost like a good thing, right? Like that you just kind of meet these people without knowing anything. Like it's just like, oh yeah, they're normal people. They are normal people. Trust me, believe me. All those guys you mentioned.
Yes. Very, very great men. But that's what I think I fell in love with most in Fiesta is it's just kind of like everybody's there to have a good time. Nobody was unwilling to share with us. I mean, when I said I wanted to run, nobody was like, you're a girl. Like you don't even weigh enough to run. Like nobody said that. They gave you good advice. Like, I mean, guys were walking us through the course. Like, all right, here's what you should do. The day of, everybody's like, Suerte. Like, you're good. Like, just go do it.
Say it again.
Suerte.
Suerte. I love that. That gets me so pumped because the only time I hear that is, during the bull run or right before.
I completely, wholeheartedly have fallen in love. And Cash and I came home, we were like,
good to hear.
Every year. And it's just like, we're like, yeah, every year. Let's do this.
Oh my goodness.
So
I love that.
We're
I told Cash when you guys got back, I was like, look, and actually I think it was just yesterday or a day ago, I just said, I wasn't sure how you were going to, kind of take Pamplona. I knew you'd have a good time because we went in 04 and you had a great time.
Yeah.
And first of all, okay, so let's get the story straight.
Give me the real 04.
So really quickly, when we went in 04, we were 17 years old. Mm-hmm. Even in Spain, where the limit, the age limit to drink is 18 years old.
Yeah.
We were not even 18 yet. We were getting shit-faced every night.
Well, Cash has had a grown beard, like a full-grown beard since he was 7.
Like, nobody questioned him unless he was at the airport. They thought he was a terrorist because he was so old. That's true. That's true.
Yes,
that happened.
He got detained. Yes, I know.
Yeah, like they held him in London and gave him a pizza while he waited in a room with until he could clear his name. True story. But we were in Pamplona getting shit-faced for like 4 nights straight. And every night we were like, we want to run with the bulls.
Yeah.
And so we would go back home at like 3 a.m. And of course, like you have to wake up pretty early to get to the bull route before they close it
minimum.
up.
Yeah.
So you got to get up at let's say 6, like maybe start walking over, especially if you live on the outskirts of town, you got to start walking over. Yeah. And, we just never made it in time. So for 2 reasons. So for those listening, this is pre-Google Maps. This is, pre-GPS and all that fancy stuff we have now. Waze, whatever you use. And we just never really knew like the way to get there. So we'd spend like double the time going down like street after street after street.
It all looks the same there.
Yeah. And like everything looks the same. Everything's cobblestone. Everything's like pisos and, apartment flats. And every time we made it, it was like just after the police had cut off, the lines and, had, started frisking people down and we couldn't get in. Yeah. At that point, we were just spectators trying to get like a decent view of the NCO. Yeah. But we wanted to run. We were just either too drunk, too hungover, and too stupid to do it.
Just a little too late.
Yes.
You gotta be on time.
But we had a great time.
Yeah.
That's the revision. So going forward.
Funny. But now we're all adults. We get up at 6 a.m. because we're old and our backs hurt. So
yes, and we're
already. I'm yelling out the window at like 4:30 in the morning, like, "Shut up, everybody! I'm trying to sleep.
The music.
I'm trying to run with the bulls."
Stop.
That was the hardest part of Fiesta. I think is like, just I'm dangerously close to 40, and so like I really do need some sleep, and That was a tough part. I'm like, I really did want to scream out window a lot of times. Like, I'm not 20. Like, I need a nap.
But you guys played it smart. So
Yeah.
Cash had seen Encieros in the past.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but he had seen them. This was your first time there, and you guys made the decision to say, look, we're going to watch it from the barrier the first day. The next day, we'll think about whether we want to actually participate and run. And you played it smart. And I think I'd recommend that to anybody who's listening, anybody who's never been there, to watch at least one, just to get that feeling.
Absolutely.
I've told the story of my little sister. She really wanted to run.
Has she run?
She hasn't run yet. Not yet. And hopefully I'm not putting her on blast.
Bring her with us.
So last summer 2017, I said, look, Elia, I'm going to get up and run tomorrow morning. I'm going to bed, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, okay, you know what? I want to run too. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to run. And I said, look, Elia, it's very complicated. It's not just getting out there and trying your legs. It's not about your endurance and what you can do as an individual runner, but how you're going to react to the crowd, how you're going to prepare your.
And she's tiny. That's the scary part about being a woman.
Extremely tiny.
You're running with 99% men. That I was more scared of the men than I am the bulls, for sure. Because those grown men will push me down, no second thought.
Dude, I'm a 31-year-old grown man, and that's my number one fear is everybody else around me, not the bulls, everyone else around me. And right before I went to bed, we were hanging out. I don't know if we were at Bar Windsor, right there in Plaza del Castillo, and we see Joe Disler. Joe Disler, for anybody listening, is one of the iconic runners of all time. Arguably, some people say the top, some people say the top two, American runners ever. So that's a pretty damn big icon. Yeah. Pretty damn big, street cred, you're talking about. But so we saw him at the bar. We went up to him. We said, hey, Joe, how's it going? He's like, hey, it's going good. Always very nice. And, we say, hey, look, Elia wants to run tomorrow. He turns around. He says, let me tell you a couple things. And he gives her a couple, points of advice. He says, look, my years I've been running, it's just a matter of time before, the bull gets you or you fall down or you get some kind of injury. You got to expect that as
when, not if.
It's just a matter of when. Exactly. Yeah. And so he's telling Elia all these things. And he goes, things like if you fall down, stay down. Right. There have been people who've died, falling down on the run route, and they start to get up instinctively. They just start to kind of get up and try to run again. And that's when it just clocks them from behind. Yeah. Roars them from behind. So he's giving her some really good advice as somebody who wants to run for the first time. And he says, you know what, look, Elia, I would tell you to just go to the run route, go with your brother, watch it. Just get there early, grab a spot right there on the barrier where you can get a good view of those bulls coming through. After you watch it, just see it, then decide if you want to run the next day. If you want to run the next day, you got my blessing, you got my, my support, whatever. And she goes with me the next morning, and she grabs her spot, and I see her before I take off. I say, okay, I'm going to go to my spot. And that day, I think I ran the curve or the lower part of Estafeta, which is that big straightaway. Yes. And I said, okay, I'll see you afterwards. And so, the bull runs happens, and, we go meet up afterwards at the bar. And I go, Elia, what'd you think? And she goes, oh my God. As soon as the bulls started approaching my area of the course, right there before the curve, she goes, that sound of men screaming and the feeling of the cobblestones beneath me vibrating as the bulls came charging through, she goes, made me almost sick to my stomach. And I said,
not me, man. I wish I was there right now.
I know. We're getting pumped here just talking about it. Pacharan, yeah.
Yes. Oh, man.
And that really creeped her out. I don't know.
Though. You're a runner or you're not. There's no shame in watching it.
Oh, not at all.
That's the same thing that people told me. It was the first advice I ever got from anybody when I said I wanted to run was don't run. The safest way to survive the run is to not run. Like, all right, well, what's plan B? I mean, you're either scared or you're not. And I really thought I'd be terrified. I was terrified before we went. And when I saw it, I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this so bad. I want to do this right now.
But it's one of those reactions, like, you don't know how you're going to react. Like,
no, you really
would have
don't.
never thought if you sat there and watched a bull run that you would just be pumped to do it.
No, I never would have thought that. I mean, I went there with zero intentions to run. Like, I wanted Cash to run, because I'm just like, okay, first of all, like, I love a good, like, manly man. And, like, what's manlier than running with the bulls? So I really wanted him to run for that manliness, and I knew he wanted to do it. So I was like, come on, you can do this. But then I was kind of afraid that I might, like, take away from him a little bit if I ran too. And he worried about me too much. I was like, please don't worry about me. Like, if I get trampled by the bull, like, that's me. Like, that's on me. Like, and my first run
you get trampled by the bull.
Dude, you should stand over me and laugh and be like, girl, I told you not to. Like, it's a man's thing. And my first run was not even like, it was I just recently read an article where they call it a valiente run, which is brave, and it's the complete opposite of brave. And I bailed well before those bulls got there, but I ran. You know, I ran with the scaredy cats. Like, it's basically what I did. I ran with a group of men.
Courtney, I'll be honest, you didn't. So big difference. I will tell you. Is somebody who runs, and this is no disrespect to somebody who does that. I have no problem with somebody who does that. And lots of people do that every year.
Sure.
Hell, you know, when I reach a certain age, or if, you know, something changes, you know, I will definitely join that crowd.
I'll be there waiting.
Before I hang it up, I will be a valiente, you know, for sure. But it's you know, you ran the second half of Santo Domingo. So for those listening, the course is like 850 meters, and there are, you know, 4 or 5 major turns throughout the course. Santo Domingo is you know, the very first stretch from when they let the bulls out of the corral all the way up to that first turn at Town Hall. So if you look up the run route, or the recorrido in Spanish, you'll see this street named Santo Domingo. Courtney ran that second half, and it's no easy feat. It's not pretty steep. The bulls are very fresh. They're ready to go. They run fast, and they're out in full force. And it's no joke. And this was the first time you ever ran, and you chose to run the second half of Santo Domingo with your husband.
We ran that one twice. And I might go back to that one.
Yeah. Valientes typically run into the bull ring, like, you know, either right before the rocket goes off or immediately after. They run right in, you know, without any bulls or any interaction.
Oh, snap. All right. So I was a little further back than them.
You were further back. You ran the runners.
I saw them. The first day I saw the bulls, and we watched for the camera. You know, everybody told us, like, watch for the camera, because you hear the rocket go off, and that's, you know, the indication that the gate is open. You hear the second rocket, and that's the bulls are all out. I love it. I just love that whole feeling. Like, when we rewatched Chasing Red, I could watch that every night and just be like, when is Fiesta?
Oh, Dennis is gonna love that.
Oh, it's so great. And Dennis is here. Like, we were trying to get together with him. So the second rocket goes off, and then you watch from Santo Domingo, at least we watched for the camera, because there's an overhead camera that's chasing, you know, over the bulls. And so if you see the camera, that's what the bulls are. So I see the camera, and I'm running, I'm out. Didn't even get in the pictures that day. But the second day, it's just that I'm like, oh, we could get a little closer. Like, how much closer can I get? I have zero desire to ever be on the horns. But next year, and I mean, my mom will probably listen to this, but I hope she doesn't. I want to run with them. I want to run next to them. That's really my goal, is to actually run with them. And it can be a steer. I don't care. I'm like, I got nothing to prove. But oh man, head over heels in love with running. It's amazing. It's invigorating. It was incredible to share with not just my husband, but like you and, you know, the other guys that we were with. Like, there's this little family in Jose Antonio. I mean, he's a deaf runner, and he runs with a girl every year, every day. He runs with her, and he was training her. And she was one of the ones who was willing to pull me aside and be like, look, here's some tips. And he came by, beforehand and was signing to me about, like the size of the bulls and be sure to, brush the horns off. And just, I love that everybody is so willing to encourage each other and be there. But then when that rocket goes off, it's really, man, it's every man for himself. It's every man for himself. And the second run we did, there was a girl standing next to us, and I'm pretty sure she was American. I don't know. She never said 2 words to me, but she looked really scared. And I was like, hey, honey, you need to get out. Like,
oh, did you?
I need you to get out of my way.
Like, good for you, because you're not just protecting like yourself, but everybody else.
No, and the second run, I mean, I started running. I decided to wait for the bulls, and this time I saw the bulls. I said, if the bulls are in sight, then I'll start running. I started running, and a grown man fell right in front of me. And so, and that's when I'm like, I'm out. And I jumped, and the bull that was behind me fell after that. And I still don't regret that. Like when we rewatched it, I was like, look, right there, right there, right there. That guy fell, the bull fell. I'm like, nope, I'm out. Like I got nothing to prove, because that is where the danger occurs, is like one person falls and then a pileup happens, or a bull falls and they get turned around. Like, not interested in being brave. I just love to be a part of what's going on there. And like I said, I've just always been one of those girls. It's like, dude, all boys are doing this. Let's do this. Like, let's do this. And I love that there's a little handful of women that will go out there and do this, because they couldn't for so long. And I'm not a feminist.
For so long they couldn't. And,
I think it's great.
In a while you'd see one pop up, but they were not allowed. And since then, women like Sue Stalker, Jennifer, who you talked about, was the name of the girl who Jose Antonio was showing around last summer, or this past summer anyway. Yeah. And but no, it's an unbelievable experience that unfortunately I feel like most people think of the running of the bulls as a bucket list event. Yeah. The running of the bulls is a thing that you want to do, like, I don't know, before you die, or before I don't know, like you hang things up for real or retire. Yeah. It's unfortunate that people think of it as like a once and done event. And, because, you're the perfect example, right? You went, you ran twice. You're a woman. You went and ran twice this summer, and you want to go back and run 8 days next year. No, that's my role. I'm not running the weekend. I won't do it. Okay. Which is smart. Which is really smart.
And you were the one that told me that. You said, because we watched the Monday run, and it was really light. And you said, and you guys had rain during the weekend. I am most definitely not a hardcore 8-day gotta run. Like if it's raining, I'm not a postman, rain, sleet, snow. Like I'm not running if it is raining. And I'm not going to run the weekends. I like the light crowds. Again, I'm 120 pounds soaking wet. Like I'm terrified of those men that you hear them running up there. And I mean, don't push a bitch. Like they don't care. Yeah. Like it is every man for himself. And I totally get that. And I need to respect the fact that like I'm the small person in the crowd. And so no, I'm not an 8-day runner. I'd love to run 8 days, but I'm going to be like a Monday through Friday kind of girl.
That's so smart though. Honestly, like that's really, so Dennis Clancy said it best. He said, look, guys, we have 8 days of this stuff every year. Yeah. Pick your days, pick your moments, be smart. Yep. And it's true. Well,
when we were there, Bill Hillman didn't run one day. And it kind of freaked me out. It shook me a little. He was like, I'm not going to run. I'm like, wait a minute, why aren't you running? And he told me, some like little Spanish kid and his grandpa were like, oh, Bill, don't run. And I'm like, well, what did they tell you, Bill? Is the boogeyman coming? Like, why shouldn't you run?
So, okay, Bill, we are not hating on you at all.
No. If the great Bill Hillman's not running, am I not supposed to run too? Like, what do you know?
That's it, right? That's the part. That's the story.
If the greats are not running, what business do I have? Like, should I bail? Like, it felt very weird to run a day that he did.
Kind of pause and think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, for sure. You have to, I think, I can't even remember who said it, because many people say this, but it's like, if you don't have a fear and a respect for that run, then don't run. Yeah. Because you have to have both of those. It has to be a happy medium of fear and respect for what you're doing. Yeah. Otherwise you're in the way. You're really in the way of what's going on, and that's everybody's life. So, I mean, you have to have respect for all the life that's around you, and you need to have a fear for your own. Yeah. So it's definitely, and I'm not an adrenaline junkie. I mean, my husband is like, his idea of fun is like cliff jumping and like scuba diving and skydiving, and I'm more like, let's get on the beach and read a book. And this is the first time that I'm like, oh man, I miss that feeling every day. I'm ready. When are we going?
Yeah. No, I honestly, like, I can't categorize myself as an adrenaline junkie.
No.
I've never jumped off a cliff. I've never bungee jumped. I've never jumped out of a plane.
Yeah.
I've never, I don't know. I've never driven a rally car.
But you run with the bull. You run on the horse, man.
Bulls.
Yeah.
But I will say this. So really quickly, to shed a little light on Bill. So, and he can, fill in the gaps. But so what had happened? The old guy that you mentioned,
right.
And that guy's still running with the bulls. Believe it or not, he's like he's up there.
Yeah.
He's no what do they call it? Spring chicken. His name was El Bolti. People refer to him as El Bolti. And he's been running the bulls for years. And he is a staple of Pamplona.
Yeah.
And he always runs that lower half of Santo Domingo. And he holds the line as soon as the bulls are released from the corral. And he'll wait there and wait there and wait there. And he's that short little tiny guy, kind of bald.
Yeah.
Kind of bald. He's bald.
He's bald. Straight up bald.
But he's that guy who you see year after year holding that line by the police. And I was with Bill one day. This might have been like 2 or 3 days into Fiesta. And we see him at Plaza del Castillo. Mm-hmm. And he's with, his family and the little boy that you mentioned. And he comes up to Bill and he says, hey, Bill, basically in a nutshell, he says, I strongly think that you should sit it out at least a day. Mm-hmm. And I'll let Bill fill in the gaps and the story and whatnot. But a very, very well-respected guy in Pamplona, somebody who runs alongside Bill in that lower half of Santo Domingo, came up and said, look, sit out. And I feel like that's a testament to, again, like that culture of being a bull runner. When you can take advice from somebody who's done it and been there before you, there's an element of, gratitude for those who come before you and those who've done it, and a respect, not just respect for elders, but for older people, but a respect for those runners, who kind of paved the way for you to kind of be on the platform you are today. And El Bolti is one of those guys who really kind of paved the way, and he's an icon. We did a little bit of Q&A with Bill about his interaction with El Bolti and why he didn't run on Red, White, and Bulls, the other podcast, But you're right. It's when you see a guy like that kind of sit out on the sideline, even for a day,
you gotta think, man.
You're like, wait, what a second. So this guy has a book.
Yeah.
Not just one book, but several books.
Yeah.
He's known around town as the guy who gives tours or the run route. Why is he not running today?
Yeah.
So from your perspective, absolutely. I would be a little worried about that. But
your run is very personal. I mean, even though you're in with like a big group of people and, you all kind of share this moment together and you share tips and secrets on how to get this done. When that rocket goes off, it's every man for himself. So if you are feeling not running, don't run. And I love that there's just as much respect for the people that run, for the people who stand there. I mean, it'd be nothing without the people up in the balcity and on this, on the sides, like waiting there for you. So,
spectators.
You do. I mean, it's still like, if nobody's there to see that you ran, did you run?
Who's taking the photo?
Who's the photographer here? Someone's got to take my picture.
Can we give a quick shout out to Mr. Bobby George?
I love me some Bobby George.
I love him in the most heterosexual way.
Yeah.
A man could love a man.
No, I love him in the straight up gay way. I love him. Like one bro to another, man.
Can I ask you a serious question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to pause for effect.
Give me serious.
What do you think about Bobby's mustache?
Well, I'm a girl that loves a good face of facial hair. Like my husband's got the most epic beard of all time. When we were dating, he had just a little mustache and a little bit of a goatee, and he said, I grow an epic beard, and I've been thinking about bringing it back. And I was like, all right, bring it back. And
it's so big.
Getting you so choked up here, but it's true. He grew it, and I won't let him shave it now. And so he had to recently shave it for a job, and I went with him to the job, and I was very happy that the client asked me, what do you think of your husband? He had to shave. And I was like, I hate it. I want his beard back. Like I married the beard. I want the beard. Bobby George, I love the mustache. He just needs to trim it, because when we went to Barchoco every day and he had his little chocolate milk like all the kids did, he got it in his beard, and I just, like, my mom brain takes over, and I'm like, Bobby, like, you got the chocolate milk in your mustache, Bobby, get a napkin. And when he did the podcast with you, I was listening to that just a little while back, actually, and he was drinking the chocolate milk and the brandy, and I kept thinking, just wipe your mustache, Bobby. Like,
wipe it, Bobby.
Wipe the mustache. But and it was mostly the shampoo, I think, actually. When he had shampoo, he would get it in his mustache. But it's a good look for a kid who's trying to grow up.
So that guy, Bobby, if you're listening, there were plenty of women bartenders who were like, dude, this cat, I like this cat.
Bobby had the charm. He has this great little this charm and he's got a thing for the older ladies, and they got a thing for him. And he found himself a few little sugar mamas. And I think he had a good little fiesta.
We ran a poll of women bartenders. Like,
did you really?
Like an informal poll. We said, look, mustache, yay or nay?
Oh,
and every single one of them said nay.
What?
Get rid of the mustache.
A lot of girls don't like the mustache. If you're making out with a guy, like they don't like the mustache on their face.
Like it's inconvenient or
maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you.
I'm older. Who are you asking? 20-somethings? Or are you asking 40-somethings? Because
damn, I feel like Bobby. Hopefully, I'm not outing you, bro, in your ways. But
40-somethings said it was Bobby.
Yeah, but man.
But dude, those 40-somethings, they want themselves a 20-something, so they're like, shave it. We want you to look like our sons, because they were all gross like that.
I was like, dude, this guy is killing it. Like he was killing it.
I was super impressed that he killed it with the moms. Like he really did. He really, really did. I mean, some kids just have it. I don't know.
So we all roomed together. So it was you, me, Cash, Bobby, and Bill.
Yeah.
Right. So that's we were
one big frat house and Coco.
Like a big frat house. Which ironically, Bobby helped found a chapter of
true. Yeah, and it was a true frat house. It was. We were sharing one bathroom. There was no AC. It was gross.
Yes.
It was gross.
I was like, no, honestly, like next year we have to really step it up. I did hear back from the person we were renting from.
Yeah.
And they did say that in November they're going to renovate completely.
Well, that'd be awesome. They're going to get rid of that black mold and put an AC in? You were dying.
Breathe. I was dying. Like, let's be serious. Like for real. Like, let's be super serious. Like, I was dying.
No, I don't know how you did that. I was dying just from the heat. I was just, it was miserable. I hate the heat. You can't get naked enough in the heat. You're just like, oh my gosh, this is miserable. And then you put heat on top of like fiesta. So there's people like screaming and throwing fireworks. And then there's like parades. And I went out. I think you were with us that one time. It was like really early in the morning. There's some little fat little Spanish kid throwing fireworks. And I was like, what are you?
Oh,
like I went up and took his lighter.
That was so not cool. Like he threw those fireworks.
Little punk that is throwing fireworks at 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
You like, try and run at 6. Yeah. Where is your mother?
Yeah. Like, you know how you hear those stories about like NFL players on the 4th of July, like blowing off fingers, like
I wish that little
Pierre ball story. Yeah. And it's like you hear these stories of guys blowing their hands off, lighting fireworks. Dude, this kid in Pamplona, he's like not a shade over like 10 years old.
No, he was a baby.
Lighting fireworks off Yeah. I was like, dude, go to bed, bro. It's like 6 a.m.
Yeah. No, nobody sleeps in Pamplona except for us, apparently. I feel like our apartment was the only one that wanted to sleep.
Dude, I woke up in like this like sweat every
day. Every day. I mean, and you know, it was like, that was by the grace of God that like, that was the one stretch of our vacation that we didn't have our suitcase. And it worked out because you already have your Fiesta clothes. So like, I'm wearing the same thing every day, whatever. It's gross. And then you're sweating all day, all night. And then you get wine on you. And so it's like, yeah, whatever. Like, I mean, of all places to lose my luggage, I was like, whatever. I was totally disgusting by the end of Fiesta, which it's funny because I posted a photo on my Instagram after we got back from Spain because I was so blown away at these like, and this just really, it shows you the age gap between me and what I feel like. Sometimes I feel like I'm like a 20 something at heart. Like I always feel like I'm a lot younger than I am. And I'm almost 40. And I realized
we're not that far apart, Courtney. We're not that far apart.
We are quite a ways.
So me and Cash, what, 31, 32?
Yeah.
40. Yeah. Dude, like we're all in the same ball range. Yeah.
I'm almost 7 years older than you guys. So
dude, that's nothing.
So
when we all have canes in our hands, like it won't be nothing.
That's true. That's true. When I'm in a nursing home, I mean, I'm looking forward to the days when Cash is, I'm like, can I change my diaper? You're younger than me. So
dude, I'll make you a promise, bro. I'll bring you Jell-O.
Oh, please do, because I'll lose all my teeth well before you do. So as long as we're still running together, that'll be great. Just our walker is like the running with the bulls. Just clear the way. I'll be so long dead and gone when you guys are just out there hanging out.
No, but you're right. It's you know, it's a shock. Just the whole experience is a shock. Mm-hmm. So you were there for what? 3 days? 2 days?
We were there for 4 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the craziest thing you think you saw?
Oh, wow.
Or strange thing you thought you saw? Like,
wow. I mean, there was no shortage of drunk people.
Yeah.
It's always great to watch the drunks. Okay, here, the absolute craziest thing was the first night that we were there, we had a car, which anybody who's listening, if you go to Fiesta, don't get a car. You don't need a car.
You hear that, Peter Milligan? No cars.
But Peter goes to San Sebastian, like in the middle of Fiesta.
No, Peter's smart about it though. He knows where to park or when to get it.
And he didn't. So for as much, running information as he's willing to give up, he didn't give up his parking information. So I don't know. I still don't know where to park my car. So
you can call it out, Mr. Bull Attorney.
Cash and I slept in our car the first night because we had a car and we parked it and we found out it was like $30 a day. And we were like, oh no, this isn't going to happen. We're going to move our car. So we moved our car. We ended up driving around for a solid 2 hours. Like there's nowhere to park in Fiesta. There's nowhere. And so we finally gave up and we parked in this one area, but there was a concert going on in the background of where we were parking, which we thought we found free parking. And the concert was insanity because I swear it was probably 3:00 in the morning, full blown concert, like lights. It was packed out. Everybody's in white. They're like jumping up and down. I was like, how are they partying at 3:00 in the morning? It blew my mind. So we found a parking spot. We parked in it. We were sleeping kind of off and on in shifts and like turning the car on and getting some AC until, a parking attendant came over and, knocked on the door and gave us a nice little ticket, and then we had to figure out how to pay the ticket. And it was. How
much was the ticket in euros?
Okay, well, so here's the thing: the ticket. If we just kind of left the area and just paid the ticket, it was $60, €60. Mm-hmm. But she said you can also go over here to this parking meter and just pay €10 now if you want. But it had to be exact €10, and we had change, and we spent probably a good 45 minutes like putting euros in, and then it would spit it back out, and it was a nightmare. It's so funny. Like I love my husband to death. He's my favorite person. But when we get in these little moments where it's like we both haven't slept, we haven't eaten, and something's not working, that's when we're both like at each other's throats. He's like, it's €10. We need 10 exact euros. I'm like, I'm getting you 10 exact euros. Like it was so bad. Like we just need to leave.
Yeah.
And that was the next morning we got up and we went to the run and we watched the run, and that was like, we're in this. So,
I felt bad because I knew that you guys could have called me, you could have called Bobby, you could have called Bill, and you didn't. And I know you guys didn't because you were like, look, these guys are going to get up and run the next day.
Yeah.
But I felt bad because I was like, damn. So, because we had just been with you guys a couple hours before, and you were like, look, we're going to leave the apartment. We're going to go get our car from the outskirts of town.
30 minutes.
And we're going to grab the luggage. That was the whole plan.
Yes.
We're going back to where you parked to get your luggage and come back. And so, you guys were kind of stuck in the situation. I know that you guys were afraid to let us know. And I was like, fuck, like when we finally woke up at like 6:30, you had just gotten back.
Yeah. We got back at 5:30.
And none of us had any clue. And we're like, hey, what's up? You're like, we just spent the night in our car. Because the last I remember talking to you guys, you said that you were going back to your car. I said, okay, cool. I'm passing out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man.
Oh, no, life's an adventure, man. Life's an adventure. And I mean, it's so fun. I mean, when we look back on that trip, like our plane caught on fire. He and I both cliff jumped. He did too. One was like double the height that I did. We ran with the bulls. We slept in our car. Like my life with Cash Lawless is anything but ordinary. We would do celebrity hair together, and we raised 4 kids together that aren't even all ours. Like it's just that's just not our style to like call somebody and be like, come save us from this. Like life's an adventure, man.
You just gotta take it as it comes and just roll the punches.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's not going to be boring. It's never going to be boring.
So this is the part where I'm just so incredibly excited for you guys.
Okay.
I'm excited for me because I get to hang with you guys next summer.
Yes.
But like I said at the start of this, I was never really 100% about how you and Cash were going to feel about Fiesta in general.
Yeah.
But you seem to be really stern about like, we're going back. We're freaking doing this. For sure.
I really want to hit the beginning. When they do the opening, I want to be there for that for sure.
Cupinazo. Yep.
I don't know what you just said, but yes, I want to be there for that. Yeah.
Cupinazo is the big kickoff or start of the event. So every year on July 6th at 12 p.m. noon, they send off this big rocket from Town Hall to mark the commencement of this huge fiesta of San Fermin. Guys like Jack Denault, Peter Milligan, Devin Douglas, Ryan Bennett dress up in goofy outfits and celebrate with, sangria, cheap sangria.
Right.
And that's when like your white shirt turns in like that blue stained purple shirt. Okay,
that's when it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But, kept waiting for my clothes to be destroyed, and I just destroyed them with my own sweat. So.
Yeah. But it's you would love that. So you want to be there for that next year.
I mean, I think the plan is probably for the whole fiesta.
Yes.
I mean, I know that we definitely want to hit the beginning. But on the flight home, he and I were both like, fiesta next year? Oh yeah, it's happening.
So
let's do it.
Me, Bobby, and Bill, we were bummed. We were really bummed when you guys left, because when you guys left, it was like July 11, 12, something like that.
Yes, yeah. I think we flew out 11 or 12. I can't even remember, but that's exactly the date. Because my daughter had an event on the 14th, so we knew we were missing the end of it, and we were vacationing before that.
We still had 2 or 3 different bull runs.
Yes.
When you guys left,
we watched the next day that we were in a hotel and we watched the run, and from the hotel room we were both just like waiting, like just watching the run. It's like, this is so sad. We're not there. It
was no, honestly, like it was. And I know we texted since then, but it was so different without you guys. And it's always something special when you're with somebody who's experiencing Fiesta in Pamplona for the first time ever.
Yeah.
To see like that light in someone's eyes and that excitement and joy is just unreal. It's unlike anything else when you can share that whole experience with somebody for the first time. Totally. It was me and Bobby and Bill were just like, oh man.
Oh,
and so we didn't know at that point. We didn't know, once if you guys would go back and digest everything and
we're coming back, man. Back. Yeah, we need a big old room. Like my request would be AC if at all possible.
Yeah.
But I'm so down to like a big old frat house again. Like we loved it, and
big old frat house.
That's
let's
my
do
element.
beer pong next year. We'll do some beer pong.
No. Me, I tried a keg stand one time and promptly came straight up my nose. Like I
haven't tried that. You've tried keg stand?
I have tried keg stand. I have.
What's that like?
And the embarrassing thing is that I tried it at a 1-year-old twins party. So,
dude, you're living large, bro.
That's the mom life, man. It's mom life.
Dude, Frank the Tank style, man.
Yeah.
Courtney the
Courtney the Courtney.
The Courtney.
Couldn't do it. They were like, try a keg stand. I'm like, all right, what's that? Like upside down. I'm like, all right, let's try this. And just straight out my nose. I'm like, I'm out.
So it's a plan. It's a plan. We'll do it next year. We'll find a good place to stay.
Yes. Let's plan ahead. I'm an extrovert. So those, Fiesta feeds me. It's a little harder on my precious husband because he gets introverted. But if it's his people, like you are definitely one of his people, and he really loves to see me happy. So it was so great to like all be together and we were always doing something, man. Like we were just always, if it was just like walking around and you were making us sing in the streets, like, we're doing something.
So I did make you sing in the streets.
You did many times.
Let me get the story real quick. Okay. So one morning before the bull run, and we're stretching, we're jogging, we're doing our thing before everything kicks off. And I look at Bobby and I say, man, we need like a bull run or Enciro like song, preferably to like the tune of Afternoon Delight. Like that would just be like the perfect theme with the perfect soundtrack. It's like to Afternoon Delight, Afternoon Delight. And Bobby looks at me and he's like, dude, he goes, the bulls fight at night. I
didn't know that was Bobby's.
Bobby goes, the bulls fight at night.
Yeah.
And I go, Bobby, that's the beginning of a tradition. And so when we got back after that day's run, me and you and Cash and Bobby were all kind of walking through the town. And Cash, okay, if you guys don't already know, is a fantastic singer in high school.
Phenomenal.
Birdie.
Yes.
Elvis. The guy's just a natural talent.
Mm-hmm.
And we're walking through the streets of Pamplona, and I tell Cash, dude, like, me and Bobby were singing this song earlier today. I think you should know. And and so we started explaining, like, dude, it's the bulls fight at night. And the most operatic voice you ever heard, the most Pavarotti style voice you ever heard. Cash is like, the bulls fight at night. And people were like
they stopped walking.
They stopped eating. They were, 'cause it's Fiesta, right? Everyone's eating at like huge long breakfast tables, like next to every building, and everyone just stops and stares at Cash. And I knew, like, I just knew, like, they were like, dude, this guy's famous. He's the real deal. Like he was paid to come to Pamplona. He's part of a peña or something. Yeah. But it's no surprise or shock to me to you.
Yeah.
But that was those lyrics. That was Bobby.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that. I did not know the origin of those songs. Yeah, that was so much fun. I mean, it's the family camaraderie of all of that. I love all the meals together, and I love in the morning after you run and everybody meets at Bar Choco, and then you just kind of like divide out and like, what are you gonna do today? Like, I don't know. We're gonna drink all day. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna party all day. Yeah, exactly. Drink shampoo, take a nap, and then we're gonna run in the morning. Like, it's great. It's so great. And I'm really looking forward to next year.